Hi boys and girls, so today we're going to learn about the color wheel, okay? So the color wheel actually has 12 colors on the wheel, and the colors are placed in a specific order. So if you think about those clocks that have numbers, like the hands that move, there's 12 numbers on the clock. So always think about the color wheel like that type of clock. That type of clock is actually called an analog clock. Analog means order. So the color wheel has a very important order. And the color wheel is based off the three primary colors. So red, yellow, and blue. These are the primary colors. And I'm pointing at these little spaces right here. So that gives us a little window that says primary. So the primary colors are very important for color theory because these are the colors that are used to make all the other colors, okay? Red, yellow, and blue are the primaries. If you would like blue paint, no other two colors together will combine to give you blue. Same thing with yellow, same thing with red. But yellow and red combine to form these orange tones. Yellow and blue combine to form these green tones, and blue and red combine to form these violet tones. So there's two groups of colors in between red and yellow. The color right in the middle is a secondary color, and the secondary color is made by mixing equal yellow and equal red. And then there's these other colors, these two smaller little triangle sections, and those are called the tertiary colors. And tertiary colors are actually three-part colors. Secondary color are two-part colors, even yellow, even red for the secondary of orange. More yellow, 2 parts of yellow, 1 part of red to give you a yellow-orange. So yellow-orange is lighter because it has more yellow and less red. And red-orange is darker because it has more red and less yellow. So this is all color theory. So today we're going to discuss primaries, secondaries, and tertiaries, okay? Now the tertiary colors, again, are the colors that come in between the primary and the secondary. So in between yellow and blue, we have green. And in between green and yellow, we have the color yellow-green. So yellow-green is yellow and blue, except there's more yellow and less blue involved in making it. And there's tons and tons of variations of green in the world, and they're all made by mixing blue and yellow together. And this is my favorite group here, this blue-green. That's like the teals and the turquoise, but it's called blue-green because it's in between blue and green. And to make blue-green, you need more blue and less yellow. So now we move on to the violets. So in between blue and red is violet. And in between blue and violet is a color blue-violet. So it's more blue and less red. And in between red and violet is the color red-violet. And always has the primary color first. So it tells us what color is used in more. Red and more red, less blue for red-violet. And that's also like a magenta tone. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a straight line color wheel. So I'm going to start off with a small piece of paper, 6x6, and I'm going to draw a shape. And if you want your shape to be symmetrical, you can fold your paper in half. Draw half of the shape on one side. This is going to be used for our tracer. So I'm going to go and cut the heart. Making a heart. I didn't say that. I'm going to cut through both sheets of paper so that I have a whole heart. And then I have this long sheet of white paper that I'm going to go ahead and make my linear color wheel. So let me just clip this up. Okay, I'm going to drop this color wheel down just for a moment. I want 7 of the shape that I just made. So the first one I'm going to take and line right up with that fold. I folded my paper in half. So this long paper is folded in half. So it's equal on this side, equal on that side. And I'm going to take this heart tracer and put it right on that fold. And trace it. Okay. Now, let me get a little closer so you can see what's going on. I want to overlap this heart with this first one that I made. So I'm going to hold it down with my helping hand, use my writing hand to go ahead and trace. And so that's 2 hearts, with 2 hearts and 1 overlap. I want 3 hearts on this side. So the middle one plus 3 more. 1, make sure it overlaps. 2, make sure it overlaps. And yours don't have to be perfectly straight in line. They could be kind of crossing all over the place, going up and down in directions. Okay, so look closely. From the middle, we overlap 1, we overlap 2, we overlap 3. So that's 4 total so far. The middle and 3 on this side. So I'm going to move over to this side and I'm going to put 3 more on this side, which will give us a total of 7 traced shapes. So for me, my shape is a heart. You might have a diamond, a circle, an oval, a triangle, star. You can be very creative with your shape here, whatever you want to create. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 1 more. 7. And I'm kind of moving mine up and down. Okay, 7. Now we're going to paint. So to create these hearts, you need primary color. To create your color wheel, you need primary color paints. So I put some primary color paints in these palettes. So if you see this little tab here, I'm going to go ahead and peel it back. Mine's a little messy, but that's okay. So for painting, you always want to have a paintbrush, a cup of water, and a paper towel. And if you know Mrs. Kaufman, you know I use the paper towel to make sure that my brush is always nice and clean. So I'm going to start by taking my brush out of the water. And always, I just check it on my paper towel before I start painting to make sure there's no paint on it from someone that painted before me. So the first color we're going to start with is red. So we're going to dip our brush in red. And we're going to paint this first shape with red. Except we're not going to paint the overlaps. The overlaps are actually going to be for the tertiary colors. So let me bring my camera a little closer here. The first shape is going to be red. First shape is red. And when you're painting, this is the paint that I'm using is called tempera paint. And tempera paint is like a liquidy, kind of thick, but it's water-based and washable. And when you're painting with temperas, you really want to try to smooth the surface out as you apply the paint so that it doesn't have big bumps in it and like big kind of like mountains. Because if you see these like big bumps and mountains when it dries, sometimes it might crack. That's just the Crayola paint that I use. Okay, so now this is red, no paint for the overlap. And I'm going to go down to the end of my color wheel here, and I'm going to paint the last shape red as well. Okay, so we're starting with red and we're ending with red. And again, I'm not going to paint the overlap. I'm just going to go and paint the heart itself or whatever your shape might be and not paint the overlap. The overlaps are going to be for the tertiary colors. I'm going to try to fill this all in red. I don't have the best paintbrush here, but that's okay. The way that you apply the paint onto your paper is called your brush stroke. So you try to get your brush strokes to be nice and even and smooth, and you can go over them again so that happens. Okay, so let me just give you a brief overview here. The first shape is painted, skipped the overlap, and the last shape is painted with the overlap skipped. Now I'm going to go and paint yellow. So I want to wash my brush. And when you're washing your brush, stick your bristles down to the very bottom and spin it around like 4 or 5 good hard times so that you get some of the paint, so you get most of the paint out. And check your brush. Make sure that the paint is out. Mine is not. But again, I think it's just my brush is not good. Okay, much better. So now I'm going to paint yellow. So it's going to go like this. The first shape is red. The second shape is skipped. The third shape is yellow. I'm not going to paint the overlaps here. So this is a little tricky. I want to try to figure out what is my original shape without painting any of these overlaps. Okay, so I'm going in here with my yellow paint. And I'm painting the third shape with yellow. the third shape with yellow, and smooth out any of those bubbles if you have them. So after I have my yellow, I'm going to make the orange. So this is going to be orange, this is going to be red-orange, and this overlap is going to be yellow-orange. So I'm going to take 2 scoops of yellow into an empty palette. And this paint that I'm using is very, the yellow is very thin, but the red is very thick, if you can see. So I don't want to do a lot of red because it's going to make it very dark. So I just want like half a scoop of red for my 2 scoops of yellow. And then mix it up. Ooh, nice orange. So the orange is going to go in the middle here. The orange is going to go right in the middle. So it's red. First shape red, second shape orange, third shape yellow. Okay? And make sure you made enough of that paint so that you can fill your whole shape. And if anybody remembers the name of those colors that come in between primary and secondary, they're called the tertiary. So Mrs. Kaufman came up with a little song where it goes primary, secondary, tertiary. So it helps us remember. Now I'm going to go lighter first. It's easier to go lighter first. So once I have my orange, then in between orange and yellow is going to be yellow-orange. So look at the orange that I made. I'm going to go ahead and take another scoop of yellow, and mix it into that orange that I made in my palette already. Okay, it's harder to get the orange lighter. And now I just want to go onto my paper. Does it look lighter? Yes. Okay, so I've done my job. There's no way to tell exactly if your color is perfect. That's why I want you to make the secondary first, because there's so many variations of tertiary colors, depending how much yellow you scooped into yours. Now, if you started making the orange and your red, it's like looks really red, I wouldn't try to add more yellow. I would just start again. So see how this is a little lighter? It's the orange, then it's lighter. So I want to make this a little darker. So I'm going to go and scoop some red and mix it into that orange that I made already. And I want to paint it here. Does it look darker than the one I have already? Maybe it needs just a little touch more red. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Does it look darker? Yes, it sure does. Okay, so this is now red, red-orange, orange, and yellow-orange. Okay, so if you see the overlaps are the tertiary colors. Now I'm going to take a minute to wash my brush, take a minute to catch up. Down at the bottom of your water cup, spin your bristles around really good. Wipe your brush off on the side of your cup to get that excess water. And go ahead and check your brush on a paper towel. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to blue. So it's red, orange, yellow. Skip the middle one. The 5th shape is going to be blue. The 5th shape. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the middle. 5. The 5th one is going to be blue. Okay, the 5th one is going to be blue. And I don't want to paint the overlaps. This one's going to be tricky too. I have to figure out where the overlaps are and not paint the overlaps. Okay, now I'm going to take a scoop of blue and a scoop of yellow. So for green, it could be equal. The orange is the difficult one. So a scoop of blue and a scoop of yellow, even for my, oh, it looks a little dark. I'm going to take a little bit more yellow. Okay. Oh, that looks better. Okay, so I'm going to paint this heart in between the yellow and the blue, green. So this is that middle shape. The middle shape gets painted green. The middle shape gets painted green. the middle shape, this fourth one. Okay, now in between green and yellow, I'm going to make yellow-green. So I'm actually just going to take a scoop of yellow and just swirl my brush around in one of the empty palettes, because I think it's going to be hard for me to make that color that I made already really light. So I'm just going to take a scoop of yellow and not clean my brush and go and paint. Oh yeah, that worked good. So really it doesn't matter if yours is perfect or not. It's just, is it lighter than your secondary color that you made for your yellow-green tertiary color? So if you made your secondary of green, just take another scoop of yellow paint into a separate palette and mix what you have on your brush. Now I'm going to take my blue and mix into that green that I made previously and check and see, is it darker? Yes, okay. So darker for the blue-green because it has more blue. This is the tertiary, so it's 3 parts. Oh, actually, I think I might need a little bit more blue. It doesn't look that much darker. There we go. That's better. Okay. And judge, does it look darker than your original? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then add more blue. Blue is going to make it darker. Yellow is going to make the color lighter in this mixture. And I have a big puddle of green paint there, so I want to get rid of that. So what do we have so far? Red, red, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue. So in between the blue and the red, we're going to make our violets. So I'm going to wash my brush real good. Give me a second. Spin those bristles down at the bottom. Give yourself a minute to catch up. Okay, my brush is nice and clean. So I'm going to make my purple violet. So I'm going to take a scoop of blue and a scoop of red and mix. Same amount. You want 1 scoop of red to 1 scoop of blue, okay? So this gives me my violet. Oh, it's kind of pretty. It looks like grapish. If it looks a little too light, add a little more blue. If it looks a little too dark, add a little more red. Or just keep what you have originally, and then we could base the tertiary colors off of what we have already. I think that's kind of the easiest way to do it. So this is that 6th shape is purple, and we're skipping the overlaps. That 6th shape is purple, and we're skipping the overlaps. So now I just like to go for the lighter color first. And I'm going to make the red violet. So I'm just going to take a scoop of red and the paint that's on my brush already and mix it. So the red violet actually looks kind of like a terracotta. This is like that magenta tone. So it's kind of like jam colored. It's more like a reddish, it actually looks like a little brownish with these Crayola paints that I'm using. But is it lighter than the purple that I made? Yes. And can you see a difference? Yes. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So that red violet goes in between the violet and the red where the overlap is. And then I'm going to take a scoop of blue and add it to that purple, that violet that I made earlier. I'm going to need another scoop of blue. Does it look darker? Yes. Nice work. Okay. Now this is that indigo. So the blue violet is the indigo. And the indigo, I still try to figure out to this day why indigo is the only tertiary color on the rainbow. Because it's Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But there's 5 more tertiary colors that aren't on the color wheel, so it's a little confusing. Does that look darker? I think so. Okay, so here's the final product. Look at closely. It's red, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red, violet, back to red. So that's why we put that other red one at the end there, so that we can have the red violet. Okay, I can't wait to see your color wheels.